Hello, hello, hello again. Welcome into Strategies for Living here on 1017 FM and 710 Keel. I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan, way down yonder at the other side of the broadcast table, smiling like a Chessy cat like she usually does. PLPC Carla McCormick.
That would be Sparkles.
Sparkles, I'm sorry.
It is Wednesday.
It is
so
Wednesday, and you are
hump day.
sparkling. You always sparkle by Wednesday. Sometimes you sparkle on Monday and Tuesday too, but you always sparkle
But by Wednesday,
Wait a minute,
I got my sparkle on.
wait a minute. My therapist hat is back on. I'm not supposed to say always and never, am I?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, Ruben.
I often.
Often, yes, you often. Thank you, thank you. So, Ruben, now she's helped me and corrected me, so you don't have to do your producer thing and cut that out.
Right.
Yeah. and
that is my main job, really.
and folks, this is our ace producer, the keeps us flying high, low, and in between, the ace of the airwaves, Ruben Wright.
Good evening.
So, let me ask both of you. Let me throw out a word and tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. Can we do that?
Sure.
Okay. Ruben, you want to go first?
Why not?
Okay. Resilient.
Resilient.
Tough. Carla, resilient.
Same thing. Tenacious.
Tenacious. Okay. Well, why would I be asking you for a definition of resilient?
I don't know.
Is it a game?
Yeah, well,
What did I win?
There is a new treatment center in Shreveport, in the Shreveport area, and I am so happy and proud that it's here. It's called Resilient House.
What a great name.
Yeah, and to me, resilient means touching something deep within you and bringing it out to share with the world. It's about healing and healthiness that resides deep within us. Resilient. We've got that resilience in us.
So rising again.
Rising again. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So our life strategist this evening is the founder of Resilient House, Mr. Jerry Fodell. We will come back. We will introduce him as our life strategist, spend some time with him, learn a lot about Resilient House and cultivating resilience for lasting wellness. And we've got a lot to learn from Jerry. Folks, thank you for tuning into Strategies for Living. We're presented by CADA, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana. Been helping individuals and families for 60 years. We're also brought to you by Milestones Counseling Center, by Jerry Anderson, State Farm Insurance, by Learning RX, by Highland Place Rehab and Nursing Center, by Jacob's Well, Inspirational Books and Gifts, and we are proudly brought to you by Resilient House. We'll be back. We'll be back to meet Jerry Fodell, our life strategist, this evening, and learn all about Resilient House. Stay with us. If we're talking And welcome back into Strategies for Living, 1017 FM and 710 KEEL, PLPC, Carla McCormick, marriage and family therapist David McMillan. Please welcome to the program now the founder of Resilient House. He was born in Detroit. He moved to Shreveport with his lovely wife, Chrissy, the former Chrissy Johnson. They moved here 12 years ago, relocated here 12 years ago. Now, Chrissy and he have been married 28 years.
28 wonderful years.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Way to get those points, Jerry. Sent their kids to Evangel Christian Academy. Jerry has worked 30 years in industrial construction in the oil field. Former president of J.C. Fodell Energy Services, operated here out of Shreveport. More importantly than all of that, for 2 years, in fact, Jerry just celebrated 2 years of sobriety, his sobriety birthday, July the 1st.
Congratulations.
2018. Yes,
Thank you.
yes.
That's a big deal.
And for the last 2 years, has been working with as a family and a team to launch Resilient House. So it is a pleasure to welcome the founder of Resilient House, Mr. Jerry Fodell. Mr. Fodell, welcome to Strategies.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. I'm
Absolutely.
honored to be here.
So you and I have known each other a bit now, a few months, and I could tell right away. I could tell right away that you can take the boy out of the oil field, but you cannot take the oil field out of the boy.
No, never, never.
So and we talked about that because
Sure.
I've got a little background with being in business with some folks in the oil business. So you and I kind of struck up a conversation right away about that. But my question, Jerry, is how did a guy get from the heart? You ran a pretty dadgum successful company, had a bunch of people in Dallas, Fort Worth, Shreveport, all over
Sure.
working for you. How did you get from there to, geez, I think I want to I want to go to Shreveport, Louisiana, and start a treatment center named Resilient House?
Well, it started back. We moved here 12 years ago, just simply to get away from Detroit. Just before the financial crisis and all that stuff. Never did we have a global look at what was going to happen with that. But we moved here to just get away and be a family and send our kids to Evangel Christian Academy.
Yeah.
So we moved down here, and we were in the construction business and doing some work around here, and that kind of like went away when 07 hit, and lo and behold, the Haynesville Shale hit.
Yeah.
And so we morphed into a large oilfield service company pretty quick, and did that for just about 10 years. And then things changed with the oil field.
Yeah.
So there was a big crash, big time crash with that, and we went through a transition, and a lot of things happened personally and financially and with the business, and through a freak accident, I became hooked on opiates.
You hurt your back. You
hurt my
hurt
neck.
your back, yeah.
I crushed 3 vertebrae, of all things, flying on a company plane. I was standing up, and we went into some turbulence, and
boom.
Yeah. There it was. And when we landed, a couple hours later, they had prescribed me the cure-all, which was hydrocodone, then turned into OxyContin, and turned to everything else.
Yeah.
My whole career of construction, oil field, has been it's alcohol, and that's sales, that's that's celebrating, that's everything. So
Part of the biz.
Part of the biz.
Yeah.
And so battled with that for a long, here and there, and put it away, picked it up, put it away, did all that, and this was different with opiates. It was for probably 5-7 years I didn't touch alcohol, and through an injury, it was like I became addicted like within no time, and didn't even know it, just snuck up on me.
Yeah. It'll hit you out of the opiates are tough.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's when we as a family went through a dark time.
Yeah.
And one day we were getting ready to celebrate or go on our 25th wedding anniversary, going out of town. And my wife, Chrissy, and the boys, and one of the last survivors of the company, one of our security officers, Alan Davidson, came to me and said, "You got to do something, because you're gonna kill yourself with what you're doing, because they started to see the effects, and it was just getting."
So they did an intervention on you.
Really, it was a mini intervention.
Yeah.
And, we were going to come up with a plan, but a plan turned into, 3 days later, I found myself in Fort Myers, Florida, in a treatment facility. And so You go into a treatment facility and you get stripped of everything that you know.
Right.
You go from being in charge of everything to being in charge of nothing.
Yeah.
And somebody's telling you when you're going to eat, when you're going to wake up, when you're, all those things.
Yeah, schedule, baby.
Schedule. You were in charge of the schedule. Now you're being told all these things, and you can't, you can't use a phone, you can't use a computer, and so for about 10 days while I was.
What do you mean I can't have my phone?
Right.
What do you mean?
Right. And it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
For 10 days it was a rough detox, and soon after that, I think on the 9th day I was going to leave, and I didn't need this place, and I'm not like those people, and all the things that you tell yourself the stories of.
Right.
And on the 10th day, I don't know if you call it a spiritual awakening or something, but it was just I had that moment where it was like the aha moment, and I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it all the way.
You dove in
with both feet. Became mayor.
That was step one for you.
It was step one. It was. I surrendered.
Yeah.
I sat back on my bed in my house on a twin bed that I haven't been in. I don't think I've ever been in a twin bed in my life. Maybe college for a minute. And I sat on that bed and I said, God, give me a plan. I said, I don't know how I got here, but give me a plan how to get out of this and how to change my life and to do something with it. And he gave me, just a simple plan. He said, if you're going to keep it, you got to give it away.
If you want to keep it, you got to give it away.
Right. And it was just, I said, wow, okay.
So Resilient House was born out of that.
It was totally born out of that.
Wow.
It was totally born out of that situation. Before in the oil field and construction, you always have, with a lot of people, we had, 1,800 employees, sometimes 2,000 employees in the oil field. And, there's always some people that are in turmoil or transition, and you never knew what to do with them. It was just, they were non-producing units anymore. So you just either fire them or get rid of them or whatever, they're throwaway, and I sat in that room and I thought, all the things that I did, that I when I had the chance to, when I could have helped people, I really truly could have helped people, and all the wrong that I could have made right for people, caring for them versus, just throwing them away and getting rid of them. And that's kind of like, I sat there and I thought, wow, why didn't thank God that somebody looked out for me. Why didn't I do the same? So that's kind of how a lot of this came about, that we, that we could give back. I fell in love with it. I mean, I truly fell in love with recovery. I truly fell in love with the program. And on the 45th day, I really did not want to make that walk to the front to go home. I was like, I was so, it was crazy because I wanted to get out so bad at the beginning, but then
I'm sure you wanted to see Chrissy and the boys.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, sure, of course.
Sure. But it was just such an experience that was just really, it was 45 days of it was truly heaven. It was like I spent a lot of time, asking God before that to open up the gates of heaven to let me in, because I was like really at the point where I was really done with living. Yeah. And it seemed like what God did for me was open the gates of hell and let me out.
Yeah. Well, I do have some news for you. You're not out. You're back in. And this is a good place for me to say, because I need to do full disclosure. I have an association with Resilient House.
Sure.
And we have to be fair and honest. So I am not unbiased in, but let me just tell you my story, our story, through some circumstances that we don't need to go into. I was called by a staff member back in February, and would you please come out and help us do this, because something needed to be done within a 24-hour period, and she needed to reach out to a licensed mental health person to do it, and so first I'd heard of Resilient House. I'd been hearing of Resilient House since December.
Sure.
And I was told by a couple of people, but you got to go see this place. But you're busy, and so. At any rate, I told my friend, yes, I'll be there. And so I drove out on a Friday, and I will never forget driving through the gates of Resilient House for the first time and seeing what I saw. My first thought was, am I in Shreveport? 17 acres of the most beautiful facility. And from the walking into the big house to go into every piece of the property, I was absolutely blown away by. I mean, it almost looks, Jerry, like you have picked up a center from Florida or from California,
sure,
or from Arizona, and you have you've dropped it right here in Shreveport, USA. Mm-hmm. So I knew from the time I walked on the property, and then I especially knew that day I met you.
Right.
And we started talking. We got to have this. Has got to go in Shreveport. It's too good. We'll talk a little bit about all that goodness.
Right.
But I got to just tell that story. I mean, it's an incredible facility. It's Resilient House, and as we tell the story, you can go online. You can go to resilienthouse.com. You can get more information as you listen to us. You can pick up the phone and call 833-CHANGE-1, and we'll give you that number more as we move along here on Strategies for Living this evening. Life strategist Jerry Fodell, the founder of Resilient House here in Shreveport. We're coming back. Welcome back into 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Welcome back into Strategies for Living. I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan, PLPC. Carla McCormick, our life strategist this evening, is the founder of Resilient House. He is Jerry Fodell. And boy, addiction does take its toll, does it not? Mind, body, and spirit. Mind, body, and soul.
Everything.
Yeah. And so I know one of the things that is in your heart is let's tackle all three. Let's get people healthy, body, mind, spirit, and that's any aspect of substance dependency or substance abuse. Resilient House is ready to treat
everything.
Yeah,
everything. Codependency.
starting from a medical detox.
The medical detox, that's one of the most important things, I think, is to that's what made me afraid of any kind of treatment was the detox process, because I never thought that I would say that I was dope sick, but I mean, you spend the weekend without any kind of medication, but that's truly what you are. That the detox part is horrible. I did it once, I did it cold turkey, and it was if it would have went 5 days, I was really contemplating not being around.
Right.
And so that's where I wanted to make sure that we medically stabilize people. We give them a soft landing. It's a tapering process. Nowhere is our program a maintenance program at all. We're
getting you off.
We're getting you off of everything that we can.
But we're bringing you down slow so that there's as little pain, physical pain.
Sure, that you're comfortable.
Body pain, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that that's a huge piece that we get, and we can evaluate you what your medical needs are, and then start the process of the middle of the clinical piece of doing the hard work of getting to what caused it. Is it trauma? What is it that caused the addiction? So that's a big piece we think is next, is the clinical piece.
Absolutely. And that one of the things that also blew me away when I walked on the campus for the first time, and I don't remember now. I think I saw a sign. It's Joint Commission approved. Now that may not mean anything to most people listening, but I got to tell you something. It meant something to me. Sure. Because many years ago, I was associated with a facility here, a hospital here in town, that was going through the Joint Commission approval process. And when I tell you it's arduous, when I tell you that it is, you better have all the T's crossed, you better have all the I's dotted. That is not an understatement at all. It took this facility that I am referring to months and months and months to get through the process. When I saw that Resilient House was state licensed, of course,
sure,
and Joint Commission approved, I just started scratching my head. What?
Right.
Yeah.
That's a tribute to our team.
It is. It is.
And the leadership of from our CEO on down, from our director of nursing and our clinical director and so on and so forth. Just a team that we put together. I'm an oil field guy. I'm a construction guy. What do I know about any of this? I don't know anything about hospitals. I know how to go to a hospital.
I think you do now.
I think you do now.
But it was building a team.
Yeah.
And they took us through the whole licensing process and took us through the Joint Commission, which that there's nothing easy about that. The policies and procedures and that whole step, and that our idea was if we're going to go for an accreditation, we're going to go for the highest, the best and highest.
That is the best and highest. And
Sure.
what that means to people who are listening, what that means to anyone who's hearing this broadcast that might need treatment, it means that you can be assured with Joint Commission accreditation. If a facility has that, Resilient House does, you can be assured you're getting the highest quality care possible.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's it.
That's it. Period.
Now, it's safe, it's supervised, but and Resilient House is dual licensed as a treatment center and a psychiatric facility. We only admit addiction cases.
Correct.
But it's dual licensed because so many times, if you've got an addiction, to treat it adequately,
right,
you've got to be able to treat the mind. You've got to be able to identify. You mentioned codependency. Are there trauma issues?
Right.
Are there going back into childhood and growth and development? Are there attachment issues? Perhaps is there clinical depression on board or some other anxiety disorder?
You rarely see someone who has an addiction problem that doesn't have some other dual diagnosis.
Right.
I mean, there's something that got them there. So if you drink or you use pills to change the way you feel, why are you trying to change the way you feel? I mean, so many people get into addiction because they're self-medicating.
Right.
So you can't hardly treat one without the other.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things, Jerry, that I think is intimidating to any of us who may, for a loved one or for ourselves, be saying, maybe I need to call this phone number and get more information. one of the things that maybe makes us back up, and I'm wondering if it made you back up, is, are they going to lock me? When I go in, are the gates going to close? Is there going to be a lock put there, and I can't go anywhere?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's the first thing. Is the stigmatism of this. What people think this is. It's we're not a mental institution. We're not a lockup. We're not CCC. We're not Bossier Max. We're a treatment facility. Yeah. That we're gonna love people when they come in. We're gonna treat them with respect. We're gonna take care of them. That's one of the big things that where I think that that I strive every day to is that we that's why we're going to be different, is because we're just going to love them. Whatever happened on the other side of the gate, we can't change.
Right.
But we can change, what happens on the inside and here, and how we take care of them. I want the experience to be, life changing, and I think that we got to start with, just simple love. Just love them and take care of them.
And I showed you this, Carla, the first time I brought you out and showed you the facility. But again, this is something that blew me away the first day. The attention to the detail. So again, certainly, as you said, Jerry, you want to keep them comfortable. But then when you go into the treatment phase, you want to be able to focus and attend. So you need a good night's sleep. Every mattress in the place is a memory foam mattress. Every pillow in the place is a My Pillow.
Sure. And the beds are adjustable.
It blew me away. I mean, it totally. But number one, I don't want to just talk about the My Pillows and the beds, because what's around the pillows and the beds is they're big screen TVs all over the place with when it's time to relax, you can kick back, watch movies, you can. You can you can relax and do your homework and do your work for the day. But it's like being. It reminded me of a multi-star hotel.
That's what I mean. It is beautiful and it is gorgeous, but yes, it will remind you of a nice hotel.
Yeah.
So, and you will not feel like you are in some One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of deal where the guys with the white suits are coming out anytime. It's not that deal. And people can leave if they want to. So if I go and I'm there a week and I go, this is not for me, there's nothing stopping me from leaving.
No,
right?
just as we're if that's the case and it's not for you, we're gonna make sure you get to your wherever you need to go safely. And
absolutely.
And at any time, if you really truly think you need to leave, you can leave.
Yeah, it's not prison.
Because if you don't want it, then no reason wasting your time.
No, because treatment needs to be my idea. Right. I need to be ready to go.
Sure.
Yeah. Not to embarrass you, but with your permission,
sure,
sir, I'd like to quote a post that you recently made on Facebook.
Sure.
I follow you.
Sure.
And so let me just share. This is a Facebook post of last Friday. Instead of hating where you are, look how far you've come. That's the message I have to tell myself every single day. I fell publicly and hard. The guilt, pain, shame absolutely tormented my soul. However, I could sit around in a pool of pity and give up, or I could get up, not give up, and give my very best at moving forward every single day. Today, it blows my mind how far the Lord has brought me in 2 years. Because 2 years ago, I was feeling completely abandoned by those who loved me. Lost the greatest company I absolutely loved and helped build, drunk off my ass and whacked on pain pills. Today, 2 years later, I'm in the best shape of my life. I am rebuilding an incredible team/family of people to do life with, and have helped start Resilient House with my family. I'm definitely not where I thought I would be at this point in my life. I've made mistakes, suffered through intense loneliness and depression, and doubted God's call on my life. However, as I pause this morning to look back over the past 2 years, I see once again that He's faithful, and He really can take our mess and turn them into miracles. So, if you're at a place in life that has you living in shame, pause, glance over your shoulder, and look how far the Lord has brought you. While we may not be where we would like to be, we are definitely not where we could have been. Even in our screw-ups, he is faithful and really can use all things for good. Don't ever give up. We do recover. The best is yet to come. Wow. Wow. Okay, so I got to ask a couple of things based on that, that will get us in. We address the body, we address the mind. Talk about the spiritual aspect of Resilient House.
I think the spiritual aspect is the key component too of getting you to a lifelong process of recovery. I think
right.
I think you have to have that spiritual awakening, that initial eye opening, when the clouds go away, that you can see the sunlight, and you can start your journey of recovery through the Spirit. And I think I'm not afraid to say it. The core and the foundation of our program is Jesus.
It's Christ-centered.
Christ-centered,
yeah.
Absolutely, But it's not, it's you don't see three crosses when you pull up.
No, nobody is going to. In fact, it's Christ-centered to the point, as Jesus did, of
right.
respecting all.
Right.
So your spiritual journey is your spiritual
right.
journey. Your family
right.
is there, and many others associated are there to share our individual, stories.
It's the God
which are all different.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So I think that component is you got to have that, and I think that's one thing that keeps me going every day is my faith, and my faith in God that I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
Because nowhere did I think that I would be here. How did I get here on this journey of being being part of a team that's building a recovery center? I was I'm good at what I do. I'm good at oil field service.
Yeah.
I'm really good at that. And my life was planned out, and it was all packaged and ready, and I was ready to hand it over to my kids, and my kids were ready to take on the next the second journey of oil field service. But you know what? It changed.
Yeah.
It changed really quick, and it changed so fast and so quick. It was like trying to catch hot knives falling down.
I like that metaphor.
And you go from being the most loved and to the most hated overnight,
yeah.
and that's how everybody that loved you was gone
yeah.
one day, and
yeah.
And now you're you're in a different place, and it just shows you a lot of things about life and fate. Who never left me? God never left me.
Yeah.
He was right there with me. He was right there the whole.
Absolutely.
He went right through the fire with me.
Yeah, and probably led you to that wonderful treatment center in Florida that helped you get back on your feet in order to come and do Resilient House. Addiction treatment right here, 17 acres in West Shreveport that is bringing a new approach to the recovery journey. You got something special when people come from Florida, when people come from Arizona, and that has happened at Resilient House.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back with Jerry Fodell, the founder of Resilient House, our life strategist this evening, here on Strategies for Living. Stay with us.
every morning just to keep a job. I gotta find my way through the
Welcome back. Welcome back into 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL. Welcome back into Strategies for Living with Jerry Fodell, the founder of Resilient House. I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan, PLPC Carla McCormick. Resilient House, adult program for men and women, out in 17 acres. A prestige. It looks like a retreat center.
Sure.
I mean, there's a running track all the way around it. There's a beautiful pond stocked with fish.
Sure.
Yeah. You even row out there in a boat.
Sure.
They got a boat on.
Got a boat out there. Yeah.
So lots of amenities, and you feed people good too.
That's
by the
a
way.
big deal.
Yeah.
The food is, because sometimes people either come in, a lot of them come in, that need to eat. So we want them to get their appetite back, depending on the condition. So that food's a big part of it.
You want more information, folks? 833-CHANGE-1. That's 833-242-6431. You can go to resilienthouse.com and get more information. What was the hardest part for you of all of this?
The hardest part for
Well, to make the climb, for over the last 2 years. And again, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
happy birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And Chrissy, happy anniversary. You put up with him for 28 years. If you're listening.
She's a saint.
Yeah, yes, she is. But what's been the toughest thing so far?
The toughest thing probably was the stigmatism of this whole thing. Because that was tough. Because people don't really get it sometimes and think that it's a moral or character defect or and all that. So that was the hardest part sometimes when you're excited about recovery, and sometimes people just don't. They give it a different look. Like even people that you're friends with and people that are professionals that you have relationships, and they give you that that eyebrow, like
I'm glad you mentioned that because I want to read, with your permission, one more Facebook post that you put out on of all times, Independence Day, July the 4th, and you title this "Where the Church Got It Wrong with Addiction, Depression." Stop it was the go-to answer for the longest time, whether it was someone being addicted to alcohol, drugs, or even suffering from depression. The perception was these things were merely moral issues, things that could be worked out if someone would simply read their Bible and pray more. And yet, now as we reflect, those things never seem to work. My first addiction, alcohol, then painkillers prescribed after an injury. During my battle with addiction, I felt like a failure, believing I was a horrible person and Christian because I could not seem to will myself to stop. It wasn't until I hit rock bottom a few years ago that I made a discovery. Addiction is actually a medical disease, and a disease is not treated with a stop it or repent. Can you imagine how cruel it would be to tell someone who had cancer to stop it or simply read their Bible and pray more and the cancer would go away? Human beings are made up of the physical, emotional, and spiritual, and for complete healing to take place, all three areas must be addressed. In my experience and research, nearly every addiction, depression issue is linked back to trauma, and trauma doesn't go away over a 30-minute coffee meeting loaded with Christian cliches and promises to pray for someone. Let me make you a promise about someone who is wrestling through these issues. They don't want it to be that way. They don't want to drink themselves into oblivion every single day and dread life to the point they believe it would be simply better to not be here anymore. They want to be free. But they either do not believe it's possible or they don't know how.
Yeah.
And there comes Resilient House.
There comes
Resilient House because and you've come and you have rededicated your life now.
Right.
And your families. This is a family affair. I think it's important for people to understand when you come, you're going to get a great treatment team. Let me brag a little bit. I think we're the only facility, and this started this week, that has equine therapy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we'll be probably the only facility soon to have neurofeedback.
Right.
We will be the only facility to have martial arts.
Right.
Yoga is taught. Recreation. Yeah. Now that's along with the traditional. You're going to learn the 12 steps.
Aren't you guys doing EMDR too?
We do. We that's another thing we will be doing because EMDR is a wonderful way to address trauma.
Right.
So yes, and I think we will. I think we will be the only treatment center in town doing all of that.
What if you have someone who is suffering from PTSD and they also have an addiction problem, an alcohol problem? Call.
Yeah.
Because this EMDR, am I right, David? Is
it's a treatment of choice throughout
the
most
treatment
of the.
choice. Thank you. That was I didn't know what verbiage to grab.
Well, more
yes.
research, since Dr. Francine Shapiro founded or discovered EMDR back in the 80s. There's been more research on EMDR as a treatment for trauma than any other single treatment. And
I heard a statistic today that said 44 people a day die of an opiate overdose. 44. So if every day a plane crashed and 44 people died,
Sure.
it would be a national tragedy.
yes.
And 44 people are dying right now today.
Sure.
And some of those legitimately have prescriptions for their medication, their own, a pain management regimen.
Or they were.
Or they were.
They started that way.
Started that way.
Right.
And I mean, but it's it is not the way to address pain in your life. It's not a way to address physical pain in your life.
No, it's
over the long term.
No,
Yeah.
no. Mine started with a script and then scripts and, doctors with S's, that were, thought they were doing me a favor. Really, truly. I went for surgery and, I was hit every which way from, to help me, with pain. It just added more and more to the, I wasn't open about my, the situation I was in, but I mean, they think they're doing you a favor, and it didn't do me any favor except get me in the ditch even further.
And I've overheard this conversation within the last, 4 or 5 weeks. So this is fairly new. Young person had wisdom teeth extracted, and got sent home from the dentist with a bottle full.
Oh, sure.
A bottle full.
Sure.
Of.
Are we referring to my son, Craig?
Well, I didn't want to say that.
No, but that's okay. But that's how, and somebody that knows, that a dentist prescribes him, the party pack,
right.
The big bottle, and it's like, you just had wisdom teeth. Whatever happened to little pain in life that, don't people take Tylenol anymore?
And Chrissy said, I mean, so you blew it.
I'm sorry.
You blew it.
We're
Jerry.
open book.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. And that's the way it should be.
Right.
But Chrissy I'm talking to her at the table in the big house of Resilient House.
Right.
And she says, I don't want him to hurt. So I would fully expect that the dentist would send him home with 10 pills, right? But then she held up the bottle. Look at this. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She proceeded to, go to the toilet and dump it.
Well, and that's what happens. I mean, or it's he gets 30 and he takes 6 and that bottle's still in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And then the teenagers find him.
Yeah.
And then now they're handing him out at school.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on medical doctors. I'm not hating on dentists. I'm not doing any of that.
So please, all oral surgeons in town, don't call us.
Yeah,
No. It's, I mean,
yeah, we don't want people to hurt, but again, it's just part of the bigger issue. It's not any one doctor, it's not any one dentist, not any one prescriber. We've got a bigger issue going on,
right.
And lots and lots of people, as you've said, Carla, that number a day is staggering, are caught up in this. I know there are people right now listening to us that need to reach out, and they just need help.
Sure.
And you ain't never seen the kind of help that's available until you come see Resilient House. If you go online to resilienthouse.com, I think you'll experience a glimpse of this pristine, tranquil retreat setting that we are so blessed to have in Shreveport, USA now.
Sure.
So if you want information, 833-CHANGE-1, 833-242-6431. I know you must have, you wake up in a new world every day with new plans coming, don't you?
Yeah. Yes. So, what we can do with this, where we can take it, and how we can build upon it. How we can save lives.
Yeah.
give back what was given, and we don't take it lightly. And our goal every day is to give the best possible service there is.
Yeah. Some of the stories that have already come out of a Resilient House will knock you down. We didn't have time to go there this evening, but maybe you'll come back and we'll talk about some of those
Sure,
stories.
love to.
Lots of healing that's already taken place at Resilient House. 833-CHANGE-1. You can give them a call, and if you or someone else is struggling with an addiction, all you got to do is pick up the phone. 833-CHANGE-1. Resilient House. We'll be back.
I know you wanna leave me, but I refuse to let you go.
And welcome back. Welcome back into Strategies for Living here on 101.7 FM and 710 KEEL, PLPC Carla McCormick, marriage and family therapist David McMillan, and our life strategist this evening, the founder of Resilient House, Jerry Fodell. If you want help, reach out now, 833-CHANGE-1, 833-242-6431, or resilienthouse.com.
One of the questions I get often, Jerry, in working with outpatient when we have clients that we need to send to inpatient is, isn't that expensive? So do you have a team that helps people navigate that?
Sure, our admissions team is second to none. They handle the whole process. So it's, the biggest thing is making the phone call, getting in touch, and then they take it from there. They handle everything, verification of benefits with your insurance companies, the whole process. And if it's if it's not insurance, and if it's some sort of a cash agreement, then we're looking to how can we make it easy and seamless for our potential clients. So they handle everything from soup to nuts on everything. for them to tell you what to bring and what not to bring. Everything. No, it's they make it as easy as possible.
So make the call, guys.
Yeah, it's like Jerry said. It's the hardest thing you're going to do is pick up the phone and call 833-CHANGE-1. May end up to be the most important phone call you've ever made in your life, the most life-changing phone call that you've ever made in your life.
So you don't need to go to Florida or California or Arizona for world-class treatment. You can get it right here in Shreveport.
No.
That's amazing.
That's that was one of our things is when we sat when they had an intervention and where do we go and we're Palm Springs, the West Coast, the East Coast, somewhere in Texas, and it was why can't we just build something here in Shreveport that we're what do we got 30 million rooftops around us here and from Oklahoma to Texas to Arkansas all over.
Yeah,
let's build it here.
Yeah, you did.
Right, we did, and we
you did.
Sure.
Resilient House, folks. Again, don't wait. Pick up the phone, call that number. Go to www.resilienthouse.com. Thank you so much, Jerry Fodell.
Thank you for having me.
all you do. Carla McCormick, thank you for all you do.
Great meeting you.
Pleasure.
Ruben Wright, thank you for all you do.
Oh, you're welcome.
Ruben.
Folks, thank you. Thank you for tuning into Strategies. We've been presented by CADA, the Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse of Northwest Louisiana, helping individuals and families for 60 years. Also by Milestones Counseling Center, by Jerry Anderson State Farm, by Learning RX, by Highland Place Rehab and Nursing Center, by Jacob's Well Inspirational Books and Gifts, and by Resilient House. If today were the last day of your life, you only had one more phone call you could make, who would you call? What would you say? And why are you waiting? Make the call. For Jerry Fodell and for PLPC Carla McCormick, for Ruben Wright, I'm marriage and family therapist David McMillan. See you next time on Strategies.
KEEL, KEEL, Shreveport.